This mechanical keyboard works with Mac, Windows, and Linux, and it's a delight to type on. Let's check it out. Dave Taylor here, and I spend a lot of time typing. I know I could dictate, but when I dictate, I find that I have to go back and correct things anyway, so why not just type? The problem is I have spent so much time typing on laptops that that's what I'm used to, and these are not very good keyboards. Enter this. This is a really slick device. This is the Keychron K17 Max QMK wireless mechanical keyboard. So right now it's paired to my MacBook Pro because it has 3 different operating modes. It can work wired, it can work 2.4 gigahertz, and it has a little tiny dongle that you plug into your PC for that. And it can work Bluetooth, and it's Bluetooth 5.1 and supports you pairing it with up to 3 different devices. Now, it might be a little hard to tell because it's well lit here, but you can see here that it also has an RGB backlight system, and there's a ton of different ways and modes you can set up. But let me start with the basics. So it's a 104 key keyboard with a 96% layout, and it is extremely slim. At its maximum, it's 22 millimeters high. And I have the feet out. If I take the feet and fold them in, then you can see it lays really quite flush with my work surface. I kind of like having those feet out, so I'm gonna put them back. And then on this corner, there are 2 switches. One of them lets you choose between wired, wireless, and 2.4 gigahertz, and the other lets you choose between Mac and Windows. The RGB lighting has 22 different styles you can do, and you can turn it off, you can adjust the brightness, you can adjust the speed of things happening. So let's jump into a really dark space and have a quick look at just a couple of different lighting modes. I've put the keyboard by a mirror so you can see its reflection and you can get sort of a better view under the keycaps. But its function Q lets you step through the different modes. There are 22 different modes. I can also turn it on and off with function tab. And then you can use other function keys to adjust its speed and brightness. But I'm a big fan. Let's just go one more down that list. There we go. Pretty cool, right? Probably more important than the RGB are the keycaps and the key switches. So the switch is the thing that you actuate. The keycap is what's on top. And you'll notice it has some extra keycaps. So the default key configuration I got was for a Macintosh, but I can pop those keys out, pop on the Windows keys that correspond, switch the keyboard layout, and then switch the keyboard functionality, and now it's a perfect Windows keyboard. But the keycaps themselves are double shot PBT and they're oil resistant. So they're not going to get weird looking as you use them over months or years. More importantly, the switches themselves that are underneath the keycaps are low profile Gateron mechanical switches. And there's 3 different styles of Gateron switches. There's red, which require 50 GF or grams of force. And so that's the easiest one to do. The red switch is 50 GF linear, and it's pretty quiet. This is the brown switch, so it's 55 GF, slightly more pressure required to make it work. It's tactile, and it's medium loudness. And then the company also makes blue mechanical switches, and those are 65 GF, so they're even more pressure required, and they're very clicky and loud. So depending on what you like, pick the right color switch so that you have the keyboard experience you like. So let's go here, and you watch here, you'll see so, oops, fix that typo, fix it a second time. And It's a little bit clicky, but I really like that, and the feel of it is really nice. And I'm looking here and I'm saying, there's one more typo to fix. Let's do that, and then that. There we go. Okay, so as you can see, it's super reactive. It's super easy to work with. The keys are hot swappable, so if you want to switch, you don't actually have to use a soldering iron or anything. And the keycaps are easy to switch. So as you can see, this has an orange escape key, but they include a gray escape key. So let me give you a close-up as I switch out keycaps. I suppose it's possible that you wouldn't like the orange escape key, but they include a gray escape key, so you can switch it out. And we're going to do that in just a second. But first, I want to show you how far it travels, and then I'll type so you can get a little sense of the clickety part of it. And it's a little clicky, but I actually enjoy that. But let's use the keycap removal tool to remove the key. So this is something where you just put it on both sides, and as you can see, it snaps to go underneath, and then with just a little bit of force, it pops off, and it fell on the floor. That's okay, because we have the gray key, and then I just line it up on that brown switch, and notice that that brown is, as advertised, a brown Gateron mechanical switch. So we're going to put the keycap, it just lines up on that symbol, on that sort of plus part, push it down, and we're good to go. I rescued the orange escape keycap, so no worries about that. And you can see it does look a little different now that it has that gray escape key. But if I really want something orange and cheery, I can actually switch out the enter key. This is a bigger key. And so on the back, it has 3 different switches that it's going to connect to. And I should say that the polling rate for the keyboard is 1000 hertz. So it's super responsive. And of course, it's going to have a really high polling rate, whether you're using it Bluetooth or wired or via that 2.4 gigahertz with, again, the dongle. And not only does it include the keycap puller, but it also includes a switch puller. Now, I don't have any replacement switches, so I haven't been able to experiment with that. But you can see here, there's a Windows key, there's an Alt key, there's another Alt key. So I can switch things around if I'm using this with a PC and I want to have a PC keyboard layout, which is totally reasonable. Now, it's Bluetooth and it's wireless, so it's running on a battery. And here's the thing, is this battery will run 95 hours. Now, to get that 95 hours, I'm going to have to turn off that backlighting, which I'm not going to do. So I'm going to get probably close to about 55 or 60 hours. But still, if you're a regular user, then and you remember to turn off this when you're done, then you are going to get weeks of use out of the keyboard before you realize, nothing's happening. I should probably charge it. And they say, I think it's about 2 hours for a full charge. And if you're wondering about this little knob on the side, you see that there? It's the volume control, but everything is mappable. Every single key can be remapped. That's what that QMK is. QMK is Quantum Mechanical Keyboard, and it's an open source firmware system. And with it, you can remap every key. You can assign macros to any key you want. On the top right, with maybe a shout out to Squid Game, that there's a circle and a triangle and a square. More likely it's probably to do with video gaming, but you can assign those anything you want. You can assign any key to anything you want. You can really mess things up, but you don't want to. So the good news is that, like, if you're using this with Linux, you can assign specific Linux functionality to individual keys using that QMK firmware. So really, really very straightforward to use. I very much appreciate the flexibility of this. And of course, the actual experience of typing is just so nice. And I like that clickety, but mostly I like that my fingers actually move up and down just a little bit, not a lot, just a couple of millimeters, but enough that I feel like I'm actually typing, and it makes me type faster. So, you can see here, maybe Yeah, it's not necessarily, when I'm not looking, I'm not necessarily typing every letter correctly, but the experience is really nice. Now, let me give you a couple of close-ups so you can see the actual key layout. And this is the default Mac layout. So again, you can switch out some keys if you would prefer having it be for Windows. And you saw the two switches on the top left. I've given you a demonstration of the RGB lighting. So let me give you dimensions. It is 15.2 inches by 4.7 inches by, at its shortest, 0.4 of an inch, and at its tallest, 0.6 of an inch. Obviously without the feet are going to add just a little bit of height, but it is really nice. And that 96% layout means that it's a nice compact design and super typable, super comfortable to type on. So lots to like here. I am going to ask you to subscribe to my channel. Click or tap on that subscribe button, hit that bell icon for notifications as I post new content, and give me a thumbs up if you found this of value. Excellent. This, let me show you the keyboard. This is the Keychron K17 Max QMK wireless mechanical keyboard, and it is $114.99 at Amazon.com. I have a link in the description, which is important because you want to make sure that you get the right key switch color to match the kind of typing that you like. Remember, there's red and brown and blue, and red is the easiest to push and the quietest, and blue is the one that requires the most force and is the most clicky. So this is brown, so it's right there in the middle. I'm a big fan, in case that's not obvious. I think I'm going to continue to use it, and I really like the RGB lighting. It doesn't work real well in a really bright situation like this, but I often will use my computer in darker spaces too, at which point it really, pun intended, shines. That's all I got. I'll hope to catch you in my next video.